Hey guys, your boy Virtus here and welcome back to the Unreal Engine 4 survival horror game series. And in today's video, we are going to be continuing on with the game, and this time we are going to be working on the survival horror mansion. So if you haven't watched the previous videos where we, created the door for the horror mansion, we set up the key system and all of that kind of stuff, what we want to do today is sort of build that great big wall, the big wall for the mansion, and I also want to place a couple of the pickup objects into the scene as well, just so the player can actually survive long enough to get into the mansion. So having said that, we're going to be working with BSP to create the wall, adding some steps, adding some windows and that kind of stuff. There's loads to get into, so let's just go ahead and dive in and get started. Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing that I want to do for our game is I want to add a few more pickups into the scene, because at the moment we don't really have any of them in the scene and the player just dies after about a minute because of our hunger system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be placing a couple of these food pickups, just hiding them in little places like behind the trees, behind the shed, stuff like that. And I'm also going to be giving them a little light above them as well, just so the player can see them quite easily. So I'm going to try and mix these up a little bit. I'm going to try and put in some of the big ones, some of the little ones as well. So I'm just going to start to place them wherever. You guys can place your hunger pickups wherever you like, really. It's entirely down to you. So I'm going to add one on the trees over here. So this is going to be a nice little full hunger pickup. And I'm just going to leave it in the grass, but I'm going to make sure it's above the ground there, so I'm just going to drag that up just like that. And I'm also going to be adding a little point light just above it, just so the player knows, there's obviously something to find in here. So I'm just going to quickly drag my point light in just like that. It's just in the basics tab if you want one. Now, I just want to make sure this actually looks decent, so I've got to make sure I'm using the lit view. And you can sort of see it really pops now. You can see there's obviously some kind of object that's supposed to be there. And I'm also going to give this sort of like a yellowy look to it as well. Just like that. And it looks quite nice. And what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to quickly select this pickup and the light. And I'm just going to Control C to copy it. And then I'm just going to paste it. And I'm going to place a couple of these around the level. So I'm going to have one, hiding behind the rock here. Just going to make sure this is all placed nicely as well. Once again, I've got to make sure it is above the ground. Just like that. There you are. And I am going to have another one over here. So I'm going to right click. And this time I'm just going to use paste here. Okay, maybe that's not an option. So I'm just going to click here. Control C, Control V, and I'm just going to drag it over just like that. So we've got to have some near to the, the spawn for the player as well, just so that, he can grab some straight away. That's another one. And this time I'm going to use the minor health pickup instead. So I'm actually going to drop one straight over here. We've already got a light there already, so we're not going to worry about adding another one. So I'm just going to chuck that in the little box there. And maybe another one over here as well. That looks good, making sure I drag it above the ground, just like that. And I'm also going to try and get a couple over here as well, just one inside the shed maybe. So I'm actually going to have a couple in the shed here. So 1, 2, and maybe another one as well. And I'm just going to stack these up as well, so I'm just going to quickly drag those over. Just use your transformation tools to do that. There you are, and once again I'm going to add a little point light as well. So just go to basics, add a point light, chuck that in there, go into your lit view so you can see what it looks like. You don't want too many of these harsh shadows, so you might just have to adjust that, move it up if you have to, and there you are. And once again, we're just going to give this a sort of orangey yellow sort of light effect to it. There you are. So when I go ahead and press play now, you can see we've got our hunger in the top left hand corner. It is going down. But we do want that, but we don't want them to die straight away. So, I want the player to be able to run up to this little box. They find it in the grass here, and it gives them a bit of health, just like that. A little bit of health, a little bit of hunger, if you know what I mean. So let's go ahead and try another one. So I'm going to try and pick up these 3 that are in the shed, and hopefully that should get our hunger all the way back up to full, and it has, and it works really, really nice. So hopefully the player should be able to complete the objectives now. So I'm just going to go ahead and press play, and I'm going to try out the whole thing to see that it's working. So I'm going to let my little instructions run here, just because that's something we need to compensate for in terms of time. So we're almost done. There you are. So the player knows what to do. So collect the firewood. There's a piece of firewood there. That's great. And you know what? Let's just keep running. And let's just walk across the water because why not? And you know, there's another piece of wood over here. It's probably going to take the player a little bit longer to find it, but you know, along the way they're going to find things like this little pickup here. You know, the player almost died there, so let's go ahead and collect another one. That is looking good. Let's light the fire now. I'm going to use the F to toggle my flashlight, just sort of so I can find the fire because I can't actually see it. Actually, there it is. Boom, that's a fire lit. And next thing I need to do is collect the hexagon key. Pretty simple, got that. Let's get some more hunger. 1, 2, 3. That goes straight in my belly. And cool, so we got the hexagon key. Now we can run over to the door. We still need to fix up the you know, the objective system for when the player actually collects the hexagon key, but they can open the door and that is all good. So what I want to do now is I pretty much want to start building the wall and sculpting the terrain around this door so we can sort of you know, finish off the game, finish off the level. So what I'm going to do is when the player actually starts to walk into the horror mansion, you know, it's going to end it off and say you completed the mission and that kind of stuff as well. Now, you guys can take this as far as you like. You don't have to stop at the horror mansion like I am. It's entirely up to you. So anyway, let's just go ahead and use some BSP to get some walls around this. Now, I'm not going to bother moving the door because, you know, it looks like it's in an okay place for now. I am going to have to adjust the... You know, I'm going to have to adjust everything around it, the terrain. The reason why I don't want to, you know, move the door is because it'll actually mess up the matinee. If you do want to move the door, you are going to have to create the matinee sequence again. Just go back to the video where I created it. You know, it's not too long. It's quite simple. And if you've done it once already, you should be just fine. So, first thing I'm going to do then is I am going to go to my landscape mode. Not my landscape mode, my foliage mode. And I am just going to quickly use the select tool to delete a couple of these trees here just because they're in the way. They're going to get in the way of my wall that I'm about to build, and that's all good. So once we've done that, go back into place, geometry, and then let's just go with a box for now and just drag it into your scene just like that. Cool. So I'm going to go into my geometry editing mode and I'm just going to start to work on this first wall. So once I'm in geometry editing mode, I can just sort of click on the faces and adjust them accordingly, and it, you know, works quite nice. So what I'm gonna do here is, so what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna quickly scale up this wall in the normal mode, and I'm going to make it pretty much the whole face of the entire survival horror mansion. Now I am gonna keep it relatively small just for the sake of keeping the, you know, the videos short and sweet. But I'm going to make it nice and big here, but I'm not too big, you know. If you do want to create a survival horror mansion, you know, I would definitely use like a reference from the internet. So, for example, you might want to type in survival horror mansion. Not survival horror mansion, or just mansion, and that will give you sort of something to work with. So, give it a second. Go to images. So this was one that I was working on before. You know, you can see you got the big arch, you've got your extra layers of building. So you got one at the front, another one at the back. You can do all of that, but for now I'm just going to work with, you know, one big gigantic wall. It's not going to look too pretty. That's entirely up to you guys to sort of pull off. So I'm going to do that. We've got our wall. It's looking, you know, like a wall. I think Donald Trump would agree. I probably shouldn't be saying that. Okay, cool. So we've got a wall here. Next thing I need to do then is I pretty much need to do a little subtraction to add, you know, just to cut out this bit here where the door frame is. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to basic again, and I'm going to get a basic geometry, and I'm going to get another box, and in the brush type I'm going to change this to subtractive. So now whenever I put this into a piece of brush, it sort of cuts it out, and you know, that's going to form our doorway. So once again, I'm just going to stretch this out to get the whole doorway, and then I'm going to move it up, keep moving it up, keep moving it up, just like that. And it is looking good. There you are. So I'm going to quickly run up to this just in the play mode just to make sure it's all good. The player can get through the door and everything. So I'm just going to go and run up to that. So just quickly run over here. Don't worry about any of the other objectives. Just test it out. There you are. So that looks good to me. We should, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get through there. There you are. Find the key. Okay, I haven't got the key, but I can walk through it. There's no collision at the moment, so we got to sort that out later on. But other than that, you know, it is looking good. So now all we got to do is just do the same thing what we did for the doors to sort of create some windows as well. And then we're going to be putting some glass in there too. So just grab your subtractive thing. I can see I've got a bit of overhang here, which I don't quite like. So I'm just going to drag this in just a little bit like that. And that should hopefully fix everything. That's all good. So next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this to get another subtractive geometry thing. And I am pretty much going to try and get some windows in here. I'm just going to make 4 windows for now. You know, to be honest, the building's not going to look that pretty. You know, it's just sort of to show you how it's all done and everything. So there you are. That's some windows. That's all good. This looks really bad. But that's fine. Next thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to add a material onto the walls because, you know, it's not going to have this checkerboard effect in real life. So go ahead and find a material. If you've got the starter content, you should have a bunch of materials in here. So I am going to try the brick one to sort of see how that looks. All you got to do is just click it in your content browser, click, and then just drag it on there. And, you know, it may take a couple of seconds to load, but, you know, it will get there. It looks a bit big. Doesn't quite look like a mansion. Let's try another one here. So I'm going to try concrete_grime, see how that looks. It's all really going to be about, you know, finding different materials in here and just sort of experimenting with it really. So let's try this one, m_brick_clay_new. Just drag and drop that on there, just see how that looks. So give that a second. You know what, I might have to just work with this one. That should be okay for now, unless I can find something else. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to do that. You know what, let's try this marble rock one instead. Yeah, you know what, I think that'll do for now. And I'm also gonna play with the scale as well, and I've got to make this equal because it looks a bit stretched. So click the surface, go to all the way down to scale, and just set this to something like 1 and 1. See how that looks, and it looks a lot better now. So that is all fine, that is all done and dusted. Next thing that I need to do then is pretty much just adjust my geometry around this. So the player's not actually going to be able to see the back end of this mansion. If you do want to create the back end of the mansion, you know, everything behind it so the player can go through all of that, that's entirely up to you, and it's definitely something you can do. But for now, what I'm going to do is just get my geometry to sort of go up to the edges and the player can go through. So for that, I'm going to need to go into my landscape mode. I'm going to need to go into sculpt. I am going to turn down the size of my brush because we don't want to be doing big bits all at once. And I am pretty much just going to link things up just like that. And I've got to make sure it goes all the way up there. There you are. And I'm just going to turn it down to get all the right way up to the top of this. Now, you guys can build, you know, the edge of the mansion if you wanted to. Not the edge, the roof. What am I talking about? You guys can build the roof of the mansion if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay, that looks good. Looks good. Looks good. Okay. That is cool. That's all done for now. So you can go ahead and paint that if you want to. I'm going to quickly chuck a bit of the rock material on there. So I'm just going to paint that rock, just click it and just paint it all up on there. It looks a bit dark at the moment because I did make the rock material quite dark. Don't worry about that. When you're in your scene, when you've got your flashlight, you will see it and it will definitely all come to life. So I'm just going to quickly press play and make sure the player can't get past that little mansion bit now. So I'm going to run up to that. There you are. That is all good. You can sort of see that marble effect coming to life, but when you run up to it with a flashlight, it looks quite nice. That is all good. So I'm going to quickly add the glass, and you know what? I'm going to add the roof to this as well. So I'm just going to copy this wall, paste it, and then I'm going to rotate it to get the roof as well. There you are, and I'm just going to chuck this up all the way on top of here. Let's sort of see if I can get that. I think, to be honest, that's about the best I'm going to get. I should probably make that a little bit longer, and I'm also going to copy and paste this to go all the way to the back as well. Just to sort of cut off all the sunlight that you can see as well. And I might have to stretch this out because you can see everything here. Or I might just use the landscape to fill that up. It's quite easy. So let's go ahead and do that. Sculpt. and just paint this all up. There you are. Okay, so that looks good to me for now. Next one we're going to do then is quickly add the glass. So once again, I am going to just add a cube and see if we've got like a glass material. So m_glass, apply it to that, and let's see how it looks. There you are. So you can see it's quite transparent, looks quite nice. And once again, I'm just going to scale this to sort of make it fit what I need really. So it's sort of like a big square, so let's just chuck it in there. There you are. So that is a nice big glass plane that we've got in there. And with this selected, just copy and paste it and move it over into the next bit over here. There you are, and we've got the glass for our horror mansion, and the player can go run into that if he wants to. So let's go ahead and press play and sort of see what happens when we open the door. Make sure it's all good, there's no holes in the floor or anything like that. So just go ahead and run up to it. There you are, you can see our glass, you can see our wall. Now all of this will look a lot better once you build your lighting as well. So let's just go into here. And this is pretty much going to be the end of the game for me. It's going to be black in here, so it's just going to sort of fade out back to the menu once they reach this point. But anyway, that is pretty much everything that I wanted to go over for this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, share the video, smack that like button, and as always, guys, keep on creating. And in the next video, hopefully we should be working some more with the objectives and maybe having a end game screen as well when the player gets through the door. See you later, guys. Peace out.